We met in 2017 at Trinity Church and we fell in love. Within the first year of our marriage, we found out we were pregnant and we were super excited. Fortunately, it didn't go the way we expected and we lost the first one. So we found out we were pregnant in October of 2018 and we were super excited and we started planning again for the baby shower and everything. February 13th, we were normal day and she wakes up 4:30 in the morning and says, "Baby, I'm bleeding." We ran to the ER and they found out through testing that the water broke. And we were immediately given the decision to either terminate the pregnancy at 19 weeks because he's not vital enough to save at that point.
I immediately told the doctors that I was gonna not terminate the pregnancy and just let God take control of. Initially, I was extremely terrified when we were in the emergency room. It happened to be exactly 1 year after our miscarriage. So immediately those feelings came right back up. An hour or so, I just felt this overwhelming peace the whole time. And I couldn't understand it.
So immediately after she said that, it was really her decision to make because we knew at that point that there's nothing we can do. We have no control over the situation. And we just turned it over to God, like, your will be done. This is nothing we can do, but we're gonna trust you. So I took her home and we went home and we had to stay home for about 45 days on her back. That was one of the most scariest times in our lives where we really had to lean on the promises of God. We had to shut every other voice out except the promises.
I just remember just thinking about the end of the fight the whole time and just how I was gonna meet my son soon, and I knew I was gonna meet him, and I knew that God was gonna save his life, and I knew that.
But one thing that we leaned on in this season was Romans 12:12. It says that to be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and persistent in prayer. That is not easy to do. Once we got to 23 and a half weeks and we were okay to bring him back to the hospital, I rolled that wheelchair so fast through those doors and I gave the doctors my wife and I said, "Now it's your turn to take over." And then from there, she spent another 65 days in the hospital. April 15th, the same doctor that handed my wife the paper with all the list of abortion clinics was the same doctor that took our son out of the womb on a C-section that day on April 15th. And the first thing the doctor looked at me, and I knew God placed him in that room on that very day because Easton had 6 doctors on rotation. And that day, he was the only doctor on that shift at that time. And he looked at me in my eyes and he says, "Look, Dad, here's the miracle you've been praying for." And immediately, I knew that God was in control the entire time.
It wasn't until a week later that we were able to hold him after all his levels were stable, and we held him for the first time, and it was, oh my gosh, it was so amazing.
And even though we were still overwhelmed with the miracle, we were still also overwhelmed with the anxiety and fears of what's gonna happen with his development because unfortunately he was at 2 pounds and only water broke, he had no fluid in the womb. So his lungs wasn't developed and his brain wasn't developed properly either, according to what they said would happen with the baby without any amniotic fluid. However, Easton came out crying and screaming perfect lungs at 27 weeks, and that is unheard of. So we knew that God had a supernatural hand in the things that doctors and men couldn't do.
Someone actually reached out to me who was in the same position that I was in. Doctors told her to terminate, and she was faced with the same decision. Keep moving forward, keep fighting for her baby, and God carried her all the way through, and she gave birth a few weeks ago. So now Easton is 6 months and 10 pounds, he's doing great. He was sent home with a feeding tube, and aside from that, he has no other major medical issues that they told us that he would have. He's thriving, he's learning so much and growing every day, and we're just so happy to have him home.